Good evening. I call to order this special board meeting of the Monroe Public Schools Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025, and the time is 5:30. And we will call roll call. Brian Sabadini,
Here.
Carrie Williams, Darla Myers,
Here.
Gary Jenkins. Here. Mary Vinson,
Here.
Tom Heck, here. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, please note that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. There are 2 cameras in use this evening, one focused on the Board of Education, and another one may be used during any public commentary or presentations. By participating in this meeting, you acknowledge that you may be captured on video. As a reminder, if you wish to address the board during public commentary, please make sure you fill out the public commentary forms located on the table by the door. Once you've filled out your form, please turn it into, to Carrie Williams, our board parliamentarian. Superintendent Shaw, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
We do have one addition, new business B2, high school boilers.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Do we have support?
Support.
Any discussion? We will now have votes. Brian?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Darla?
Yes.
Gary? Yes. Mary?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And the motion carries.
Do you want me to do that?
We're all done now.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd offer.
I don't believe we have any public commentary. Is that correct? Okay. Next, we have new business, and I'll turn it over to Superintendent Shaw.
Wonderful, thank you. So for our first item is the 31AA funding update. Last week, you received an email from me with updates from the attorneys. Late today, another update came out, and the update is really clear that the Court of Claims ruled. Court of Claims is state. Okay, Court of Claims is state level. Voted, said no to what was put out there by our group. The appellate court has said they will hear it, but that will take the next 28-ish days, and that the December 30th date still holds. So that doesn't change. The federal court is still in a stay mode until the state figures out what's going on. So the federal court, they had some different options, and so they're not doing anything until the state goes through the appeal process. And then even when it goes through the appeal process, the federal court may still do nothing, is what they're indicating there. So based on that information, and the resolution that was passed on December 30th, we will be opting out, because there's nothing has shifted. It's all in space there. A couple pieces of saving grace, though, I think that should be acknowledged, is that MDE has already allocated out to all the schools that had opted in that money. So one of the things that the judge, and if you read her review, was that the MDE needed to get that money out. So all the schools have received their money that was expected to be received. So now, when these schools opt out, that money it doesn't go back to the state, because they're gonna just not reallocate back out to us. But the state of Michigan, MDE, is not gonna quickly just all of a sudden recalculate and send it out. They're gonna be wise enough to hold back until the appeal process goes through. So at the end of the day, we could see that money if the appeal process works. If not, then yes, we're gonna be out that money. I'm anticipating that what we'll see is other groups get involved, because I think come early January, right after the 30th, someone in the news is going to do an article, like all the schools, and number of students that were opted out of that money, and I think that'll be a big story there.
Do you have that in numbers?
No, we would never get that from MD.
They didn't say how many opted in or out.
No,
You superintendents don't talk to each other?
Well, MD doesn't talk to us. Let's go straight there. So based on information and talking with Jeremy, on 4:30 on the 30th, at that point in time is when Cassie will go in and click on the opt-out button. The only reason being is that stranger things have happened. I mean, the federal judge has said, no, she's not gonna get involved till the state does. Something could shift there. So there's no reason unless one of you guys is like, no, I think we need to do it now.
I think we need to do it now.
But that date there of the 30th.
I think why
holds.
wait? I think we should just, it's already a done deal. We're already gonna opt out. And so let's just get it done and then it's done. Because there are 3 criteria that are mentioned in there, 3A, B, and C. And each of those criterias, for me, when you're dealing with anything like this, who knows what could come up? So I think we should opt out immediately. Today's 23rd. Probably the earliest would be Monday, which would be 28th. Is my math right?
So we're not just,
Because that gives us 2 days in case something happens or anything goes on, rather doing it the last minute and everybody does it the last minute and the system gets flooded and they're very clear. You have to have that notice of rescind back from them. And I just would rather not wait until the last minute and go ahead and get it done. That's my opinion.
Okay. Brian, any opinion on that, comments? Gary?
I think I'd rather wait till 30th. I don't know, like I said, I talked to the politicians, I was told to call the governor tomorrow, I will do that. I'd rather see at least a few days, maybe, something will happen, maybe. Since we're not under any liability yet, we got until the 30th and then she pushes the button, then we're out. But I'd rather, if we have a chance for a few days, maybe something, because I know there's a lot of, the political winds right now are blowing pretty heavy.
Mary?
I agree. I'm waiting until the 30th, I think would be best for us because the deadline is 11:59 p.m., but Cassie's going to be clicking the button, right? Because it's actually a button that she has to click
It is,
online. She'll be doing that well before the 11:59 deadline, so we'll still have a buffer in order to make sure that it goes through before the actual 11:59 p.m. deadline.
Is anybody working on the 26th?
I don't know that answer. I know I'm not.
Okay, so we don't know if Cassie's going to be here or not.
Actually, to answer your question, like right now, I could literally text Cassie and say, hey, take and opt us out.
Okay, so we're not waiting for any magical date,
No, we're just.
except for the 30th. That's a
30th,
magical
that's
time,
all.
11:59.
Cassie-
But we could ask
Cassie-
Cassie tonight to do it.
If you wanted Cassie to do it at this very moment in time,
Yep, okay.
text Cassie, say,
Thank you.
go online. She would
Thank
log
you.
in. No, she goes. Yep.
And obviously, she can even do it from her home computer.
It's a school's computer, but
Yeah, I
yes.
mean, you know what I mean.
Yep,
Yeah.
nope, she has that capabilities of logging in
Okay.
whenever the board would make that decision, says we want this done there. And the 4:30 time, let me, full disclosure there, and asking Jeremy, about like, hey, how long until a judge would actually issue something? He goes, I've never seen any judge issue anything past 4:30. He goes, it just doesn't happen, so waiting till later on, it doesn't matter. If you don't see anything, issued by 4:30 in the afternoon.
So
It
based
doesn't happen.
based on the paperwork that we read,
Yes, ma'am.
the judges made their ruling. They were very clear on it. I understand that the same team that filed the litigations are filing an appeal. What judge are you waiting on? Are you waiting on the Court of Appeals judge who was already, isn't that the one that already said, hey, I'm not going to play with the dates?
So.
And they said, we're given 28 days to come back. So I'm not quite
Yep.
sure what you're
It's
waiting
more
on.
like so does the, it was more about like.
Which
will the-
judge are we talking
Either,
about?
it could be either the 3, because the appeal court is 3 judges.
Yeah.
Them doing something, there and or getting pressure to do something, or does the federal court do something? That's all it is.
So Gary, you're thinking
But it only
that-
takes one appellate judge to put a stay on this.
yeah.
I
So-
mean,
so
if the
you
right
think
person
that's
makes
the
the right
avenue?
phone call, and says, hey, put a freeze on this, they can do that immediately. And that's why I made the point, I know there's a lot of political winds blowing now. And obviously, we can't stay in this. I agree. But if we have a few days letting these political people involved, maybe we can get one of them to appeal to one of these judges and say, all right, I'm gonna put a stay on this for 1 month until I hear the appeals. You know, that's my position. I mean, I know we're out of it,
And I,
just maybe.
yeah, I would agree. I think whether we do it on the 28th or the 30th, 2 days isn't going to make a difference. And yeah, hopefully, and I would encourage, I sent the letter out to all our representatives, plus Bolino, our state senator. Encourage you to all to write letters to the same group or to Whitmer as well. Put pressure on them. I believe because the MEA is not in favor of this, they're going to start putting pressure on the people as well. And someone like Whitmer will listen more to the MEA probably than the rest of us. So things may happen, who knows? So, and if we do it at 4:30 on the 30th, we're out, we're out.
The impression I got talking to a lot of these people is, it seemed like they were all caught off guard by this.
Yeah.
All the politicians,
That's the
both
impression
parties
they
were
said.
caught off guard. It's like, what happened? Where'd this come from?
Well, I mean, we didn't think the court was going to rule against us in the first place. So now you've got a higher barrier to get over.
Yeah.
Now you've already had a decision made. So in my,
very
I don't
clear, too.
I don't know much about the law, but I know once a decision made that the hurdle gets a lot higher for someone to overturn it. I guess I'm of the opinion either you hit the button tonight or you wait till the 30th. Anything in between makes absolutely no sense to me.
You're right, Brian.
Yeah, I didn't know you
Yeah.
could do it tonight, so that's why I was
Yeah.
thinking of the next.
Hopefully, what I put in my letter is if the say we opt out, all these schools opt out and really start putting pressure, the legislature should do something. And that really would put it back to day one where everybody gets the money, whether you opted in or opted out.
Yes.
I mean, that's really the fair way to do it, but it's got to take the legislature and potentially overriding a Whitmer veto. Although I think if the legislator passes it in a nonpartisan fashion, I think Whitmer,
But
particularly,
pass what? What do
they
they,
would have to pass a resolution that says we're going to restore
Right.
31 AA funds
right,
to everybody.
Right.
by the 30th?
No, this,
That date's gone.
that date's on. We're gonna have to opt out.
Okay.
There's, believe me.
Because
let's-
I'm listening to you say
No.
that the legislature may be able to pressure a judge, it may
yeah.
be able to do this, and I'm listening to all
No.
of this, and
This is all
it just doesn't
politics.
fit.
Yeah,
I
now we're
under-
in the middle of politics.
I-
I mean, we're not involved with this
Always
aspect,
politics.
but the politicians are involved now, talking to each
Yeah.
other
So
about
you
this.
make my point even more profoundly that, if we're out, let's just get out now. Rather than play whatever games are being played. I'm not a risk taker when it comes to when things like this. I made that very clear from the start. I was not a risk taker in going into the legislation because I think you fight it after you've already been in a different way. So I didn't, and I did not think we should have opted in. I'm not a gambler. Well, I have gambled. I should, sorry, that would have been untrue.
In that vein, I'd like to make a motion that we opt out of the 31 AA grant money December 23rd at 9 PM.
Support.
Okay. Okay, further discussion?
I think we've already kind of
Yeah.
went through there. The fact of any legislation happening is not going to happen. I don't know this whole judge thing. As far as I'm concerned, a judge needs to follow the law, and the judges have decided. So again, I'm just not into playing the game.
I would just make a friendly amendment to state, if we can opt out this evening, that it could be as early as Cassie's able to do so. We don't know what her family obligations are, and otherwise, it's the holiday break. So if we say 9 PM and she's not
Right.
able to open up her computer at 9 PM,
Say 11:59
I would say
PM.
as soon as possible, today's date.
I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay. Any further discussion? And first, we'll vote on the amendment. Start with Brian? We're on the friendly amendment.
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Darla?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Mary?
No.
And I'll say yes for the amendment. Okay. Now we will vote on the motion as amended. Any further discussion on the motion as amended?
So I just want to clarify, the motion is on the table for us to opt out. If the motion fails, then we will remain in. Am I listening to that correctly?
We will remain in until December 30th.
Well, we can't, that no motion's not on the table, you would need
No.
another motion,
No, the motion that we have right now is to,
up
the
tonight.
current resolution, which we approved, says that we will opt out on the 30th if the court rules against us. This motion is to basically change that. If it fails, we go back to the resolution that's currently approved. So I think, am I stating that the way
Right.
everybody understands it?
If it passes, this resolution passes, it's today.
Okay.
If it does not pass, it's on the 30th.
30th, that's correct. Okay. Okay, so let's vote. Brian,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Darla,
Yes,
Gary,
No.
Mary,
No.
and I'll vote no. So the motion fails. So we will opt out on the 30th if nothing changes.
Not to change it, and you will also have an email confirmation from Cassie that afternoon. showing that
Okay,
it did
good.
Go
Okay.
through.
Yeah, very good.
So
Then,
Next item we have for you is high school boilers, and so with that, I'm going to turn it straight over to Dave. We've got Larry with us tonight, who is going to go over information you guys had and read on, so Payne.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. As you guys, if you did read the two letters, one was a recommendation from Mr. Zimmerman and one from Ryan Gramling from Kleinfelder. When these boilers were put in, I'll just give a quick synopsis and then turn over to questions and let Larry give the details. But we've had ongoing issues with these when we first put them in. Ryan Gramling states the manufacturer asked us to do a few things, and we did. We changed some of the vents, some airflow. We did everything they said over the last couple of years. But we continue to get burners that fail, that blow up, not blow up, but break. Well, they technically are doing that, but they're not to a point where we can trust them. So 2 years ago, when we were going to put our third boiler in, I asked them to prep for a fourth boiler for a place to put one, run the piping, so it wouldn't be too overly expensive. Last year, as things progressed, they extended our warranty, still ran into problems. Our plan was to put in that fourth boiler this summer. But due to the fact that they're continually breaking, as of right now, both of them are offline. My concern is if we waited too much farther, that we could run into a problem if weather got too cold, along with the safety of those two boilers running. So I asked Mr. Shaw if we could use the emergency provision to get these moving ASAP, just because we don't know what the weather is, and we're still early on into the season. Generally, December's not that cold. This year, it was a little colder than usual. But normally in January and February, it does get cold. So I'll turn it over to Larry, but it's our recommendation that we get these boilers in as soon as possible. We've already started that process. We've worked with Monroe Plumbing. They're the ones that installed the Bryan and the Lochinvar boilers. There is one in Nashville, so hopefully our goal is to get one installed by mid-November. Because right now we're running on our two,
November.
He misspoke.
sorry, January, I apologize.
I'm like, man, you wait until next year?
That's when this all started. So we're hoping mid-January to have these installed. If, right now, we're running on two boilers and things are going okay, but even though we like the Lochinvar boilers, there's nothing to say that one of them could have a mechanical failure as well. So it's really risky to have the high school solely running on two boilers. So the sooner we get these in, the better. It's safer. It keeps the building more efficient. Right now, we're running them at higher than we have to when the weather gets colder. But I will turn over to Larry because he does have a lot of intimate knowledge of what's breaking on these Bryan boilers. And then if you guys have any questions on where we're going to go next and anything about the actual failure of these Bryans. But
Can I ask one question first, only because it will precede anything you say, because I won't understand probably 90% of what you say. But on these boilers, my question was, if the district had used these for all this time, what was the reason for the switch in brand in this last section that seems to be having so much difficulty? I just kind of, if you had so much success with these, why switch?
I can answer that somewhat. I was, the only part, it was brought up in a cabinet meeting. I wasn't part of operations at the time, but it was, and this is just secondhand me listening to the
Well,
conversation.
Larry would have been here
But it wasn't, it was a,
as a board member.
yeah, yeah. But basically, it would almost be what happened when they went out to bid. The Bryant boilers were pretty close in comparison, probably a little cheaper. So basically, the question got turned back to Monroe Plumbing saying, listen, you make the decision. They're close. And at that time, Monroe Plumbing didn't have anything against Bryant boilers. They are a manufacturer. They're in several locations, not here in the district, but in the US. So it was my understanding that they decided just to go forward with the Bryant boilers. Well, once that was done, which we may not agree with that. I don't think we would have done that. We would have wanted to be consistent. But they're in now, so we are gonna look at some alternatives to not have brine boilers. But right now, our first course of action is get that third Lochinvar in and then move to worry about getting rid of those brine boilers.
Do you think they're gonna resolve the situation?
I think we're gonna push.
Gonna
them
make
to-
good, make
yes.
right?
That's what our goal is. I mean, I can't guarantee.
I read that, that's
Yeah.
why I'm just
Yeah.
curious as to your,
We know of a situation at Eastern Michigan where this happened and they did use the lemon law to get them removed. And
how many do we have?
Two.
Just two?
Yep.
Okay.
You said same boilers at Eastern Michigan?
Brine boilers. I don't know if they're the same model, but
Right.
that manufacturer.
See,
is.
this is what I'm curious about a little bit, because I worked trades for 40 years, okay? When we bought equipment, we usually always tried to get the same same brand name, because the people working on it knew what they were dealing. There was always spare parts. And I saw this in a couple notes is that we had Lackenbar throughout our entire system, and all of a sudden somebody jumps up and puts two Bryans in there, it's like, that's what, $400,000, I think it was?
Yeah.
Is what I think I read,
Yeah.
And so what is our plans to try to recoup this?
Well,
These
that's what
things are
we'll,
4 years old.
yeah. So, and we've been, currently I think the architect and engineers, that's the avenue they're gonna take. But we didn't want to disrupt what was going on, because the two brine boilers are on the mezzanine, so they're separate than the Lochinvar on the first floor, and where we'd be putting that fourth boiler. So this way, we can get that in without messing with that, because what I wouldn't want to do is cause anything to help damage that solution of getting them replaced or removed.
Is the mentality of the engineers involved with this to take some type of legal action?
Probably.
So it might help if
We're
Larry,
hoping it doesn't come to like bringing lawyers in, but
Yeah.
I think based on the history of how many problems we've had, what they're doing right now, I mean, we fired these up in literally 2 or 3 weeks. One completely had the burners out. That's been down still. And then last week we ran into some issues with the fourth boiler, it'd be number 2. Them were the first 2 that were put in.
Yeah.
So we just keep them off now. There's too much risk to have them on.
Is this up in that new space up top, that pretty space that you guys all redid with the pretty pipes and everything?
over at the high school and
Yeah.
above, yes.
Not the
You
area.
like my description?
That was good.
Pretty
So,
space.
But I think if,
It was, it looks
Pretty
nice.
space.
if we can put Larry on the microphone right there, so Larry was able to sit down yesterday with Tom and I and Dave and really went in depth on what's going on there. Those 2 boilers, it was less costly, and those decisions were made pre a lot of people in this room, because that's not the standard of which we do. I mean, we want everything to be as consistent
Well,
as
I don't ever
possible.
remember those, that they ever told us they were gonna put brine boilers in, because I would have absolutely said no.
Yeah.
It was part of a major bid pack, so it'd almost be like a mechanical piece of, yeah.
Yeah,
This is what we're putting in, okay, you're getting the boilers.
yeah.
But the problem we're having with them, and I even had the Bryant technician out with me, because if you have one bad light off, which means as this burner is lighting, it's kind of like a backfire in a car. Every time it does that, it costs you $10,000. And then it blows this side gasket out, which creates a gas leak. So I said, for us to just keep putting parts in it, we're not changing anything. He goes, no. I said, and the manufacturer sees no problem with it.
Wow.
And then that's when we found out, you know, up to, University of Michigan was getting rid of them.
Eastern Michigan.
Eastern was getting rid of them. Now, if you look these things up, some people say they're the best boilers ever made. We've not had that long. We've found welds that are cracked. We're sticking more money in these than what we should. So if we're ever gonna try to lemon law it out, that'll be the time to do it.
Yeah, you're not saying that the entire company is faulty. You're saying that the equipment for which we have is faulty and it's not working right. Yeah. Almost clarified that.
Exactly.
I would say, okay, let's move forward, but it's both of them.
Yeah.
I can only speak to 6 months of running these. The first one ran less than 3 weeks before it went down. The other one was about 6 weeks before it went down. And both of these were rebuilt back in March of last year.
So what's the cost? I didn't see that in there.
For to Lochinvar or to, what's your question, Dar? I'm sorry.
So based on what I thought we were discussing was the fact you need to get 2 boilers, right?
So
Right now,
One.
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 We only need one.
And the price of that is,
We budgeted 190,000 in our sinking fund if we were gonna do it this summer. So that's the budget we have right now.
we need to relook at those funds because we had the IRS money pull out. What was that? What was that money that had to get paid out
This
of
is
a
on the
bond?
sinking fund.
And then because it came out of the bond, you're gonna have to pull more fund out of the sinking
Yeah, the
fund.
sinking fund
So,
is-
I mean, that's
Yeah, the
more
sinking
than we
fund-
were
Good.
anticipating.
We're good. We actually are trying to keep the purchases for the sinking fund around 2 million, which
Yes.
allows us to cover the
This is part
bond.
of the 2
Because
million.
that
This
other
was-
money came out of sinking, which caused a bond, which made more money
Right,
come out of
that's-
sinking.
Right, which we already put
Yeah.
that in there. So when we look at the full sinking fund usage for this next year, including the bond, it's $2 million.
And that leaves us. in
And
the
that
fund
uses the
balance.
totality of the monies.
No. Sinking fund will never spend that all the way down. That still leaves,
1 million fund balance.
yes,
Well, I meant the 2 million that we typically allocate, right?
yes.
Am I missing that?
There's
Isn't it
2 million we're
typically
gonna
2
spend
million?
this summer.
Yes.
We'll have 1 million in the bank and we'll have 1 million or less that we use to the,
But if something else comes up, then we would need to tap into that 1 million.
yes.
Correct.
Just want us all to be clear where we're sitting.
Yep.
Okay, and this 190,000.
I mean, you're gonna have to get it, we understand that.
Yes.
And you already allocated.
We already budgeted in there.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
We already-
I would expect
To,
that.
to answer Gary's question, we already, when we were going through the list for, looking for next summer, that $190,000 is already budgeted into that $2 million number. So this is not on top of it, it's already been put in there. What we're
Because you
looking
knew
at,
this was.
We were hoping that they wouldn't,
well,
we could get through the winter and then address the issue, but
because we've been strong with it. But then when Larry said some keywords yesterday, and this is why, I mean, it would have to get, that building would have to go real cold before we would ever turn these boilers back on. And
Because of the cost.
it's not a cost.
It's a safety
They're-
issue.
It's safety now.
It's a
I'm
safety
walking
Oh.
that boiler room and the smell of natural gas will burn her
Yep.
eyes.
And we hadn't had that problem
Do you
prior.
have to report that?
No.
We just been out and shut them down.
Yep. And so we're at that space now, and that's why if we knew that the rest of the winter was gonna hover around 20, 25 degrees, then we could survive with the 2 boilers.
You go from 50 to 1.
Right. So that's why we wanna get this done now. And the other part being is that why it's underneath the emergency side is we don't have hard numbers put in front of the board that you would have been expecting. That says, this boiler costs this amount of money, it's gonna be this much for the labor. We budgeted 190,000, okay? But that's why we don't have a formal document right here in front of you, because we can't say without a shadow of doubt, here's exactly the numbers.
But you don't anticipate at this point being over that amount.
No,
that's the recommendation.
yep, next,
Okay,
yep,
okay,
Because what we don't want to do is wind up burning the 2 boilers that we have down there.
right.
Yep.
Never want to take them over 90%.
yep.
And I asked engineers, what's our magic number? What's the coldest they can get outside? And they said we won't get that.
Yeah. And so by doing it in this way right here, we can get them in and get them installed. The other part is, and this is where we had a lot of conversations around, those 2 Bryan boilers are still gonna stay put in there so that we have the documentation that they're still there, so we can force the lemon offside. And so rather than.
You got space
give
for
them-
that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When we took out those great big boilers, that created a lot of
I know,
space in
it's
those rooms.
pretty now. I said it was pretty. I
A lot of space there.
recognize that.
It's a question, I guess, and maybe looking down the road, let's say we win some money in the lemon law. do those funds go in the sinking fund or they go back into the bond fund?
Sinking.
So,
That's a good question, Tom.
Well, this wouldn't be
Because-
bond money, because the bond money is for
No,
the other
But they were
project.
purchased
they were
with bond.
purchased with the bond.
Yeah, we purchased.
Oh. they
But
were
my
always rack it back.
recommendation would be to recoup that if we put a fourth boiler in or something within that area to,
So that's a question that would go to Jeremy, because it's answered correctly right there, because
Legal.
if it can go back, if it could go back to single fund, because it paid for it, because it'd be technically like, okay, those monies were paid out of single fund to put the new in, there, but.
because everything's
We're not
different.
gonna, I think at the end of the day, we're not gonna violate either of those two funds.
Yeah.
So if it needs to go back to the bond, it goes back to the bond. okay?
Let's hope we have that decision to make.
I hope we do.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions for Larry on that?
Good job, Larry, staying on top
Okay,
of that.
we,
I just
could
have a quick
entertain a
question.
motion.
How soon do we need to speak for that unit
You could if you
Uh,
want.
so that we can get it?
I think it's already spoken. for.
Okay.
Yep.
We,
We've already
we-
got it set to order.
Well, we told them that we want it, now they have to
Yeah.
make a phone call.
there's still some permitting and some getting contractors in line and stuff. So we're hoping
You can't,
January to have that installed or around that area, depending.
I'm gonna say realistically.
we would need a motion for
we,
that.
we could do a motion today not to exceed 190, or we could wait till we have harder numbers.
I think we'll have to heard it in the fall, the public five days.
Well,
Yeah,
the
but-
problem is it'll probably be
So-
February because it's time and materials. So
One thing that could help you right here is per board policy, this is under the emergency, so I can do that, okay? So what you would be doing,
Be under- Oh, yeah, because it'd be considered.
so it's already done, or you can say, okay, we're gonna have motion not to exceed and have it done that way too. Either way works, but it's already moving forward because this is an emergency, need to get done. As soon as he talked about that, there's a gas leak, we're not turning those back on. That creates the emergency, so it's gonna happen.
Because if it exceeds where we're at now, it would need to come back to us anyway, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there isn't an endless
Oh, no,
supply.
there's not an endless supply. No. No.
Yeah,
We're disappointed with these brand boilers.
yeah. Do you want a motion?
I
I'll
would,
make a motion that we move forward with securing the boiler not to exceed 190,000.
did we have support?
Support.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. Brian,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Darla,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well, so the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, wait. I'm going to apologize, and because I thought of something of our previous motion that I would like clarification on before we go out. There was a lot of conversation on something may happen between now and the December 30th. What confuses me is our resolution was that we will opt out on December 30th. So regardless of what happens, regardless of a judge decision, regardless of anything else, our resolution is we will opt out no matter what.
So the resolution states that it would have to be something in writing from a judge.
Yeah.
That moves that date
Date.
of December 30th. That's the only thing. And right now, there's not going to be a judge, from everything we've read, that will move that date. But if one of those three judges, and there's something in writing that moves that date of December 30th, then we could.
But I thought our resolution was anything prior, but when it came to December 30th, that we were going to opt out. If this lawsuit didn't go through, we knew there was a possibility for appeal, but I'm not getting this whole, we're still going to play the game thing.
So it's
Because
not-
our resolution was we're opting out.
So it's not a game.
But I mean, you get what I'm saying. It's this judge is going to do something, that one's going to do something.
The variable is if one of those, if that appeals court or that federal judge comes in, as Gary had said before, and moves that date and puts it in a court order, instead of like that judge did prior, they put that date of December 30th, they move that date to January 30th for you to opt out, then you are still underneath the exact same language as the protections go that we had from December 4th through December 30th.
Wasn't there a discussion that during that time that if there was an appeal put forward that may not stick, because they've extended it to this off of the original resolution. So this would be a judge extending an extension of original resolution. And that result was that,
If I
what?
can, I'll read the resolution. So the superintendent is hereby authorized to and directed to not submit the rescission form should either party file an appeal of the ruling and written notification provided by MDE, Michigan Department of Education, or the court moving the rescission date from December 30th to a later date. If no such written document is provided, the superintendent is directed to submit the rescission form to be published on the MDE website by 11:59 PM on December 30th. So basically, if we don't receive anything in written from the court or MDE that moves the date, then Cassie will submit the rescission form. That's the verbiage of the resolution that we approved.
We could change that.
Yeah, you definitely, I mean, do about whatever you guys want right here. You're down to that variable of, I think you guys are probably correct when it comes to the court of the appeals court. Nothing more is gonna happen there. The federal judge is the one that has said they're not gonna do it. But again, I don't know the political pressures that people are gonna get put on. I mean, we're just one entity. There's gonna be a lot of other entities having conversations with people there. What I do know is if we go in at this very moment and opt out and something new, they do something different, by December 30th, then that money is gone. Then we have officially opted out. We're no longer in.
I understand that, but we also understand that they put no time limit on the waiving of rights, and there is no time frame on that.
The waiver of
So
rights is only through December 30th, ma'am.
I understand that, but if this gets extended, what I'm saying is, you know what I mean? And something isn't done right, the state holds all the power and says, this is what you can do, this is what you're not going to do, you didn't do this right, therefore, your district will forever have their rights waived because that's the risk. And to me, that's a very high risk. So I just want clarification, thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay, that really concludes our agenda for this evening. I don't think we have any public commentary. And that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have support?
Support.
Show of hands. The Monroe Public Schools Board of Education Special Board Meeting for Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025 is adjourned. The time is 6:07 PM.
All right, everybody, go have a wonderful Christmas.